What if I told you that the reason you can't sleep at night isn't just stress, but psychological warfare? Imagine lying awake at 3 a.m., your heart racing, your mind replaying every gaslit conversation, every betrayal, every moment you questioned your own reality. This isn't just insomnia. This is a brutal, brutal aftershock of narcissistic abuse. Your nervous system is stuck in overdrive. Your body is begging for rest, but your mind refuses to shut off. In this video, we are diving deep into how narcissistic abuse rewires your brain, steals your sleep, and keeps you trapped in a cycle of exhaustion. But here's the truth. You can't break free. I can't break free. Let's uncover the science and psychology, and most importantly, the path to healing. Stay with me, because tonight might be the first night that you truly rest. So, are you suffering from chronic insomnia due to narcissistic abuse? This is a deep dive into the causes, effects, and healing. Now, chronic insomnia is a devastating condition that can wreak havoc on one's physical, emotional, and mental health. Now, while many factors can contribute to long-term sleep deprivation, one of the lesser discussed yet profoundly impactful causes is narcissistic abuse. Take it or leave it, narcissistic abuse is a major cause of sleep deprivation and what we call chronic insomnia. Now, survivors of relationships, whether romantic, familial, or professional, with narcissists often struggle with persistent sleep disturbances due to psychological trauma, anxiety, hypervigilance, and emotional dysregulation. In this video, we will explore how narcissistic abuse causes chronic insomnia, the psychological and physiological effects of prolonged sleep deprivation, as well as coping mechanisms and healing strategies. And let me begin by first talking about narcissistic abuse and its psychological toll. So, understanding narcissistic abuse and its psychological toll. Now, narcissistic abuse is a form of psychological manipulation, emotional exploitation, and mental torment inflicted by individuals with narcissistic personality traits. Now, these individuals thrive on power, control, and emotional dominance over others. Now, their victims are usually gaslit. That means they experience gaslighting, which makes them question their reality and sanity. Their victims experience manipulation and lies, which creates confusion and self-doubt. Their victims experience silent treatment and stonewalling, which induces stress and anxiety. If you're facing narcissistic abuse, you can relate to all these signs that you are experiencing narcissistic abuse. Also, the victims experience intermittent reinforcement, which keeps them emotionally hooked with cycles of affection and cruelty. So there is affection, there is cruelty, and they interplay them. Yes, and this keeps the victims hooked emotionally. Also, there is emotional and verbal attacks, which destroy self-esteem and self-worth. Now, these toxic behaviors disrupt the nervous system, leading to chronic stress, trauma responses, and ultimately insomnia. Now, how does narcissistic abuse lead to chronic insomnia? The first way is through hypervigilance and overactive nervous system. The first way is through hypervigilance and an overactive nervous system. So basically, survivors of narcissistic abuse develop hypervigilance, which is a heightened state of alertness where the brain remains in constant high alert for threats. Now, this is a response to prolonged emotional and psychological trauma. The body remains in a fight or flight state, making it difficult to relax and fall asleep. This is not the right way to live. When you are constantly in a fight or flight mode, you experience hypervigilance and an overactive nervous system, and you cannot sleep. Second cause of chronic insomnia via narcissistic abuse is anxiety and rumination. And so even after escaping an abusive relationship, many victims ruminate over past events. You can't get it out of your mind. You are constantly ruminating over the past events, over the intrusive, you basically experience intrusive thoughts from what has happened to you, and then you replay arguments, gaslighting incidents, or moments of betrayal will leave you broken. Oh, these moments of betrayal leave you broken, and they trigger stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which prevents deep sleep. Now, another cause of chronic insomnia from narcissistic abuse is PTSD and nightmares. And so narcissistic abuse can lead to CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, where victims experience flashbacks, dissociation, and nightmares. Many individuals wake up in a state of panic, drenched in sweat, unable to return to sleep due to intense emotional distress. I can so relate to all these signs of chronic insomnia and their causes. Also, fear of abandonment or retaliation can cause chronic insomnia from narcissistic abuse. And so victims who were trauma bonded to their abuser may struggle with a subconscious fear of abandonment even if they've left the relationship. It doesn't matter when there's even distance. That emotional bond that was created causes the victim to struggle with a subconscious fear of abandonment. And if the abuser was physically or verbally threatening, the victim might also fear retaliation or stalking, keeping them awake at night. Another cause of chronic insomnia as a result of narcissistic abuse is emotional dysregulation and depression. And so prolonged emotional manipulation impacts serotonin, dopamine, and melatonin levels. Now, these are usually neurotransmitters, and prolonged emotional manipulation impacts their levels. The levels of serotonin, dopamine, and melatonin are affected, and these neurotransmitters are responsible for mood regulation and sleep. This can lead to chronic insomnia, emotional numbness, and deep sadness, making restful sleep seem impossible. Now, what are the devastating effects of chronic insomnia on survivors? Sleep is essential for cognitive function, emotional stability, and physical health. But chronic insomnia caused by narcissistic abuse can lead to memory loss and a brain fog. You forget, struggling to focus, retain information, and make decisions. There's confusion, memory loss, and brain fog. And then there's a weakened immune system, which increases vulnerability to illnesses. You're always falling ill. And then there are heart problems and high blood pressure. We are still talking about the effects of chronic insomnia on survivors. There is heart problem and high blood pressure, which leads to prolonged stress and inflammation. And so the heart problems and high blood pressure are due to prolonged stress and inflammation. Our body is not created to operate on stress for so long, and so when there is prolonged stress and inflammation, it causes high blood pressure and also heart problems. Also, there is weight gain and metabolic issues. And so these imbalanced hormones affect digestion and appetite, and so there is weight gain and metabolic issues due to the imbalanced hormones affecting our digestion and our appetite. Also, there is increased anxiety and depression, which results in heightened emotional distress and suicidal ideation. We are still talking about the devastating effects of chronic insomnia on survivors. There is increased anxiety and depression, and also there is hallucination and psychosis. In extreme cases, there is hallucinations and psychosis whereby you experience severe sleep deprivation, which can trigger dissociative episodes. Now, these effects trap victims in a cycle of suffering. The suffering is not describable. I won't lie, it's not describable because I was there, been there, done that. And so the effects trap victims in a cycle of suffering, make it harder to escape the long-term consequences of narcissistic abuse. Now, how do you heal from chronic insomnia after narcissistic abuse? How do you heal from chronic insomnia after narcissistic abuse? Healing from chronic insomnia requires a multifaceted approach that addresses both psychological trauma and physical dysregulation. And so the first way is the nervous system regulation. Now, to reverse hypervigilance and calm the nervous system, survivors should practice what we call breath work and meditation. And so do what we call deep breathing to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Also do what we call progressive muscle relaxation, PMR, which is tension release techniques to ease body stress, and also grounding exercises where you walk barefooted, and also sensory grounding and mindfulness practices. Mindfulness practices helped me immensely because it helped me to stay grounded in the present. Instead of worrying about the future, I stayed grounded in the present. And so I always tell people, relish the moment and smell the roses. Relish the moment and smell the roses, because this is the moment that you have. Instead of bothering about the future, stay grounded in the now. Mindfulness practices are immense when it comes to healing from chronic insomnia after narcissistic abuse. Also, do cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. That is what we call the CBTI. And now CBTI is an evidence-based therapy that helps to retrain the brain to restore healthy sleep patterns. It includes reframing negative thought patterns around sleep and trauma. And so basically, if you have negative thoughts around sleep and trauma, you begin to reframe it according to the cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, which is the CBTI. Also establish a strict sleep schedule to regulate your body work. Let your body understand when to sleep and when to wake up. Make it a routine, make it a schedule. Sleep when at the same time each day and wake up at the same time each day. It enables your body to regulate itself. Also, limit screen time and reduce blue light exposure before bed. Now, also do what we call trauma focused therapy, EMDR, and somatic therapy. Now, EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and it helps to process traumatic memories. Also do somatic therapy, which focuses on body-based healing to release thought trauma. And when it comes to therapy, you always know what I will tell you. The Holy Spirit is the greatest therapist, and so engage the Holy Spirit as you try to heal from chronic insomnia caused by narcissistic abuse. Also use holistic sleep aids and lifestyle adjustments. Use holistic sleep aids and lifestyle adjustments. And so magnesium and adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha to promote relaxation. Use magnesium and adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha to promote relaxation. Also use weighted blankets to provide a sense of safety for you who is afraid of your safety, physical, emotional safety. Use weighted blankets to provide a sense of safety, and also use aromatherapy, lavender and chamomile for calming effects. When it comes to that, I tell you, I use a sense of scent. I call it my sense of scent, and I use a lot of sense of scents. I hope you understand the interplay on words. I use a lot of sense to calm myself down. A lot. Now, journaling before bed to release intrusive thoughts will also help you in this wise. And now, breaking trauma bonds and going no contact will also help you to heal from chronic insomnia due to narcissistic abuse. Now, if possible, survivors should cut all contact with the narcissist to prevent emotional triggers. If possible, cut off all contact, go no contact, or go low contact if necessary. In a situation where you are co-parenting, you can go low contact. Now, block them on all social media to stop re-exposure to manipulation. Look, the narcissist won't stop until you stop him or her. And so you have to block them on all social media to stop re-exposure to manipulation. Then surround yourself with supportive people to rebuild your self-worth. Now, chronic insomnia due to narcissistic abuse is a serious but treatable condition. Survivors must acknowledge the deep psychological wounds left behind and actively work toward nervous system regulation, therapy, and self-care. Healing is not linear, because sometimes you will feel you are healing and then sometimes you feel not. it is still healing. Part of healing is the time when you feel you are not healing, and so healing is not linear, but with time, patience, and the right strategies, restful sleep and inner peace can be restored. Now, if you are struggling with chronic insomnia due to narcissistic abuse, know that you are not alone. I was there, been there, done that, and today I've got a different story to tell. I tell you, you are also going to have a different story to tell very soon. Just stay patient, seek professional help if you have to, and prioritize your mental and emotional well-being as the key to breaking free from the chains of trauma. Now, would you like recommendations for books, support groups, or online therapy resources? Do let me know in the comments, and also share this video with a friend and hit the subscribe button so you can become a member of the Iyabo community, where we support one another to release emotional trauma and heal from narcissistic abuse.